Alright, what is up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Comedy's Dead podcast. I am your host, Josh Goldstein. Let me turn this up a little bit. Does that sound better? It does sound better. Holy shit. Alright, guys, welcome to another episode. Okay, by the way, as this is already fucking leveling, Jesus Christ. Alright, well, it is limiting at fucking 6 decibels, so for you fucking nerds, it is limiting the peaks a little low, but I also don't know what else to fucking do, cause, I got a high voice, alright, so it doesn't pick up the low end that great, and then it just sounds fucking weird, and then I try to talk too deep to, like, counterbalance it, cause I don't want to keep fucking peaking, and then I just sound like I'm fucking doing, I'm whispering sweet nothings into your ears while I say the word cunt. Welcome to another edition of the Comedy's Dead podcast. I would say ask you guys how you're doing, but I'm pretty sure like 3 of you are listening. It's weird because it'll randomly put me into like the algorithm on YouTube, and then just a bunch of random fucking people will listen for like 30 seconds and be like, you know what, never mind. And I can see the analytics on that, by the way. That doesn't make you feel good. It feels nice to know that strangers are for some reason being given your shit as if they fucking care. But, it is what it is. Let's see as I grab my seltzer water. Dude, a couple months ago, I told the story a few weeks ago, right, about having to kill the rat with the shovel. Okay, for the people who weren't listening, which is probably most of you, I was a couple months ago now, right? I was in my garage smoking weed, and as one does, and what's it called? In my parents' garage. I can move out right now. Okay, I'm planning on it. Jesus, I you know what's weird is I finally have like the money to move out for the first time in my life, and like I actually have my shit together for once, and I hate it, and it's not like I don't. I don't want you to misunderstand it. It's not that I don't like having like expendable income and a savings. I don't have a savings account. I have 2 free checking accounts. It's a great move. What's it called? It's not that I don't like being an adult. It's that like being poor has been a huge part of my identity for so long. I'm like so. It's what is I should probably talk to a therapist about this. It's like I've lived for so long in pure survival mode where it's like I need to make money just to spend money, that now that I don't have to do that, I'm like a little bit losing my mind. Like I feel like people are supposed to feel comfortable with stability, and I'm just sitting here like I don't have enough problems. And the less it's the less I'm worried about problems in the concrete, the more I'm worried about problems in the abstract, and the dark thoughts come, and that's not cool, and that's why we do stand-up comedy, because if I'm always failing in some sense, I always have something to try to get better at and work on. Welcome to my healthy life. Alright, so I was out in my fucking garage, and I was smoking weed, and all of a sudden, like, this rat comes stumbling out of, like, this crevice under the closet with all like the fucking machinery and stuff, for my dad doing dad stuff, and that he never taught me how to do, but then complains that I don't know how to do. Anyways, what's it called? But yeah, dude, I was just out there smoking, and then like this rat just comes crawling out, and it's like stumbling, and like it can't catch its footing. And what happened was, but this is before. I was smoking weed, and a rat ran across the floor, and then I was just yelling at the rat as if that was going to do anything, and then it scurried across the floor the other way. And then a couple months late, and then I called or I had my dad call animal control. I'm a child, guys. I had my dad call animal control. The guy come, well, I'm not paying for animal control, let's be fucking real. But what's it called? It's not my garage, okay? Hey Josh, you don't pay rent, maybe you should pay for something around here. Fuck you. I got jokes to tell, bitch. But what's it called, dude? I was fucking, I was smoking weed again, and, this is a recurring theme in my life. I smoke weed, and, like, this rat comes crawling out of the fucking thing, and it's, like, stumbling, and I realized, like, oh, it ate the poison that the rat, the pest control placed around the place, And and it's like, all right, so I could either let this thing slowly die of poison, or I could do the humane thing, and put it out of its misery. So I unfortunately had to do that, which isn't a good feeling. I thought I did it in a nice way, right, where it went to hide from me because it knew the end was near, and so I like picked it up gently with a shovel and I put it in the backyard, but I put it facing away from me so it didn't see it coming, because I didn't want it to fucking I didn't want to look it in the eye when I killed it, you know? I mean, it's already fucking... I don't care how much you were like, oh, it's a rat, fuck a rat. Nah, dude, it's still, a living thing. It's not... Dude, I'm such a pussy. I, like, killed a spider today, and I was, like, upset about it, because it was a big spider, and realistically, I could have, if I thought, on my toes enough, I could have figured out a way to, like, scoop it out of the car. It was in my car, because I work with dogs, and they fucking track shit in. I could have figured out a way to, like, scoop it out and get it, to just, like, be on the fucking... I could have caught and released, and I was busy because I had 8 dogs in my hand, so I was like, all right, we're getting this done right now, because, it would have been a pain in the ass with the dogs in my hand, but I felt bad. I don't know. I respect the life, guys. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I fucking, what was I bringing this story up? Oh, yeah. All right, so that happens, and then, what's it called? Do I have to turn the fucking mic down? It keeps peaking, but I don't sound that loud in the cans. It's driving me nuts that the fucking high end on this mic is so... I need to just turn down the treble, I guess, but I don't know how to do that in Audacity. The audacity of this app to not be fucking easy to figure out. What's it called? Yeah, dude, and I guess, because when there's one, there's many with rats. By the way, I live in the suburbs. How the fuck did they get here? I don't know. I'm assuming it's because I drive my car into the city every day, and, they can fucking, they climb in wheel wells and stuff like that, and, whatever, so it could have been that. But yeah, I guess another rat, because they're supposed to get the poison and think it's food and then bring it back to the colony, so what, I guess, that happened because there has been the stench of death in the garage for like 2 weeks now, and I only know I killed one, and I haven't seen any other dead bodies, which means there's a decomposing rat colony in my garage, and the stench is unfucking bearable. I had to just go out to get a seltzer water, and I was like, it's dimming, but it's still unbearable. Like when it first, like 2 weeks ago, when it first started fucking reeking like that, dude, I went out to smoke weed and I like rolled a spliff or whatever, and then the stench is so bad that it's like it's sticking to your clothes like you're smoking a cigarette. And, like, it was for, like, an hour after I went out to roll. I just rolled it in there. I was there for maybe 4 minutes. I rolled it. I went outside to smoke. And the stench lingered in my nostrils for a fucking hour afterwards. It is so beyond nauseating. Like, I can't even fucking begin to describe it. And, I don't know, dude. Or maybe there's just a vagrant in the garage somewhere that died. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure it was the rats. But yeah, dude, how do you get fucking rats in the suburbs? I don't know. But I thought that was, yeah, so I went out to get a seltzer water, and, I just got reminded that I massacred a fucking colony of rats to a degree, Alright, so I turn it down, and I turn it back up. Here's the problem. Alright, I'm looking at the levels right now, is when I say something really high, oh, that's what it is because I'm not using the microphone properly. All right, when you speak highly into the microphone, when you raise your voice, you gotta lean back, so it doesn't fucking, do that. We're learning how to, these are basic skills that you should learn as a fucking comedian, as to how to talk into a microphone without fucking scorching everybody's ears. But we're doing it anyways. See, that's the thing. Like, it's saying it's peaking right now, or it keeps saying it's peaking, but like I'm not fucking... If I don't talk into it clearly, it doesn't come out clearly, okay? So now you have to choose between me talking properly into this microphone, or me peeking. I'm peeking so hard right now, man. I don't know, dude. What's going on? Why did I write my dog down? I don't know. What was I up to this week? Let's see. Where did I do comedy last week? What's going on with that? I can look at my schedule. I can see what's going on in my life. You know, you guys know enough about me at a certain point. As I keep fucking with the microphone, there's literally one G spot to get it so I like actually sound proper in the microphone. And if I don't talk directly into that, I sound like shit, and it's driving me nuts. Let's see. Thursday, I went up to fucking Hudson, New Hampshire. Got ambushed by my aunt and uncle. Being at that show, I had just new shit that I didn't necessarily need. Not really aunt and uncle, more like family friends. But it was like new shit that I didn't really need them to fucking you know. You don't need family necessarily to hear some of these bits, but you're also like, well, I can't waste stage time. All right, I'm in a road gig. I need to get connected. I need to connect with the fucking the normies up in Hudson, New Hampshire. Yeah, that was actually it was a really fun show because you're like when you're in like a play, because all right, so going into it, I have like my like third cousins, I guess. I don't even know the numbers on cousins, how that works. Yeah, my third cousins, I think. One was gonna come. Another one is a cop in that town. He's like, dude, I wouldn't even go into that place with my badge. He didn't say that to me. He said that to my mom because they were at a wedding together. And I was like, all right, so that's gonna be a fun gig. But dude, they were cool ass people. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was like a New Hampshire towny fucking bar, but they were cool. I had a really great time at that show. They were like so down for like the dark weird shit that people in Cambridge and Somerville clutch their pearls at. Because apparently they don't understand irony and satire, and that like you can say something you don't mean, and that's the joke. But what's it called? Yeah, dude. Why did I bring this up? There was like a thing I was. That just triggered a thought. The New Hampshire thing. I don't know. Went up and did Strange Brew, an open mic after that, up in Manchester. That was really fun. Dude, I've been having like so much fun doing comedy lately. I know it's supposed to be fun all the time, but like I'm really fucking dude, I'm getting a lot of gigs, and I'm fucking really feel myself growing, and I'm like excited. I've got like a lot of newish shit that like some of it's good enough, some of it's like I don't know. I think like the problem with like the stuff I get really passionate about writing is like really premisey, explainy things with like a big punchline at the end. But you can only have so many of those in your set if you're not headlining. You can only do like one or two of those a set, where you're doing like a long setup for like one big payoff, or like you're trying to espouse your views on people. So that kind of gets like frustrating to a degree, where you're like, this is the type of shit I want to talk about, and this is realistically the type of audience I'm working in front of. So it's like I can either just do, I don't know. It's hard to figure out, where to like build those things. Because if you're, it's one thing. It's also like if you're headlining, but it's not like a crowd that's for you. Not that I'm like headlining a lot, but that gets like really frustrating. Where you're like, all right, well, you're trusting me to do this much fucking time, and I know I have this much time worth of jokes, but is this much time worth of jokes that will actually connect with the fucking audience that I'm in front of? Because, a bunch of uncles in New Hampshire just want to hear you call somebody gay and say the word retarded, all right? They don't really want to hear abstract thought, They don't want to hear you question people's preconceived notions of a subject, okay? They just want to hear, I hate my wife. And, make you say something that makes them think that, you agree with Trump or something like that. All right, they don't want to actually hear the type of shit that I want to talk about, which gets very fucking frustrating at a certain point. Because you're like, well, I know when I'm in front of my type of crowd, I'm connecting, but I also need to be a professional, because one day I'm going to have to learn how to fucking headline the Funny Bone in Omaha, And if I do that, I need to, like, actually be a little bit, more relatable to the norms. Yeah, I don't know. It gets kind of fucking annoying with that type of shit, where you're just like, all right, I mean, I know it's not necessarily me. It's us, we aren't a match, okay? I'm not compatible with this audience, okay? It's not that I don't think you're worth it. It's just you're not what I'm looking for. I don't know, dude. I fucking, let's see, Friday I drove down to New York. Um, I'd say enough hippie bullshit. I took part in like a meditation and Boban Sana ceremony. Um, and the people who know me are like, of course you did, Josh. And yeah, and Boban Sana is not a psychedelic, guys. Okay, I wasn't tripping this time. I did some 4-MMC, but that's whatever. Most people don't even know what that is. I didn't, but somebody offered it, and I was like, sure. And because that's how I treat life. It's comparable to sassafras, and if you don't know what sassafras is, it's like if Molly was good. It's like if Molly had real emotions instead of fake emotions. It's kind of like it's a derivative of mescaline, but it's sort of like feels like Ritalin with like mild psychedelic effects. Yeah, and then we were like meditating up in this old sacred land in this park up in the north of Manhattan, like way, like literally at the top of Manhattan, with this like cave system that used to be sacred tribal land. Dude, when it doesn't feel like you're in the city. Like you can see the city lights and things like that, but it feels like you're in like this, I don't know, this oasis type thing, and you can like when you're in like, I know I'm such a fucking hippie. When you're in like like old tribal lands and things like that, you can actually feel like a power to them. Like you understand why these tribes like held them as sacred things. But Boban Sana is it's a bark that's considered a sister to ayahuasca. That actually tastes fucking delicious. But it's non-psychoactive. It's more of considering opening your heart chakras. Dude, I know this is ridiculous to most people, okay, but I actually believe the shit, okay? And I know it's also ridiculous for somebody who talks like this to I don't know. I feel like I just sound way too normal to be this fucking hippy dippy. I sound like too much of a guy's guy. I mean, which I am, but there's a yin and a yang here, guys, okay? You can't have dark without light. You can't have light without dark. And my jokes are so dark because I have so much light. I don't know, guys. But yeah, so I went to that, and then I ended up catching the second set, and then of the Dark Star Orchestra show at the Cap. Ran into some friends. That was really fun. And then I could have crashed in the city. I should have crashed in the city. But I ended up hauling ass back to Burlington. Through the night from New York, which I got home at like fucking 3:40 or something like that, and the weird thing, I've done that drive a million times because like that is my favorite venue and all my favorite bands play there because it's like there's not a lot of small theaters in New York anymore, so they all do the Cap whenever they're around, and what's it called? Dude, I'm slowly realizing I'm not fucking in my early 20s anymore. It's like I used to be able to drive there, go to the show, drive back home. Like in 23 when I was seeing Phil Lesh and friends, and that was only a year and a half ago. I went to the Wednesday show, drove home after the show, worked the next day like it was nothing. Did some shit on Thursday, drove to the show the next day. If I'm getting it right. Drove to the show the next day, drove back, skipped the middle show, and then caught the Sunday show and drove back. I did over 3-hour drive and back, 3 days out of 5, and it was like nothing to me. And then I'm like, I stay up till 4 a.m. now, and I'm like, it's gonna take me 5 days to recover from this. Maybe it's because I'm taking my job seriously. I don't know. I was also, I was also doing a lot of acid back then. I mean, I still do a lot of acid, but I was doing a lot of acid back then, so like it was like staying up all night wasn't the issue. I would go to the show, get high, come down enough after the show where I could drive and be safe. Most people would be like, "That's still not safe, Josh," and it's like, well, I know what I'm doing, guys. But it's like, you think I haven't driven on acid a million times? Fucking grow up. That's what's funny about those like psychedelics to me is like I'm way more scared of smoking weed now than I am of psychedelics. Like I'll have like up and down periods with weed where I can like smoke every day for fucking months and like be perfectly fine, and then I'll have periods like right now where I was smoking weed every day for months, and now I'm like, every time I get high I have a panic attack and my fucking neck and shoulders seize up and I get really uncomfortable and I feel like I'm gonna fucking snap my neck if I move the wrong way. So then I just don't smoke weed again. I haven't drank alcohol in over 3 months. Not that I need to, but it's good to test your patience. But I'm getting to the point. Like 3 months is really the point where you're like, all right, fuck, because I'm trying to push it another 3 weeks. I'm definitely not gonna skip holiday season, but I'm trying to push it another 3 weeks. And dude, I just want to fucking drink. Like, I don't drink much. Like, I have 1 or 2 drinks if I do drink. Maybe 3 or 4 if I go out. But I really don't drink. So it's like, sometimes you just want to cut the edge off, you know? Granted, I consume a lot of caffeine and nicotine, so there's a big edge to cut. But, yeah, dude, I'm looking forward to my first drink. I think I'm going to get a bottle of mead. I really like mead. I don't know if you've never tried mead. There's this Icelandic Viking mead type thing. It's just a company from Iceland that, whatever. But they use old traditional recipes from hundreds of years ago, which is why it's like Viking themed. It's incredibly strong booze, but it's honey wine, and it's fucking. If you think wine gives you like a happy buzz, mead gives you the most joyous, like calm, peaceful, happy buzz of any booze. Like, it is the best feeling of any alcohol I've ever. It's like the second you drink it, your whole body feels warm and tingly, and you just get so happy. And like then you do that and you think, how the fuck were Vikings drinking this shit and then murdering entire villages of people and raping all the women? How the fuck? How could you commit such atrocities when you're so joyful? When you're in just such a pleasant mood? I don't understand it. But yeah, that's what I did Friday. And then Saturday, that was a Bill Burr thing. Why did I do that? Saturday, I've never seen an original member of the Allman Brothers. Like, I've seen some of the longest tenured members. I've seen Warren Haynes, Derek Trucks a million times. I've seen them together. I've seen O'Teal a million times with Dead & Co. and with O'Teal and Friends. But I had never seen any of like the original members from when Dwayne was in the band. And I finally got to see J-Mo on Saturday at City Winery in Boston. He was playing with Allman. It's Friends of the Brothers, so it was like it's an Allman Brothers band, cover band. But everybody in the band had played in a band with other members of the actual Allman Brothers rather than just being a cover band. And it was fucking awesome, Like, I love the Grateful Dead concert experience, but I know if I saw the Allman Brothers enough times, I would be as big, if not a bigger, Allman Brothers fan, because I just fucking love the Allman Brothers. And, yeah, that was, like, one of the best shows I've been to in a long time. It was really short, unfortunately. Like, I think they were done by 9:30, and the show started at 7:30, so I was hoping they'd go to, like, 11, but, I'll take what I can get, Dude's fucking 80 years old, playing drums for 2 hours almost, hour 45 minutes. Like, that's pretty fucking good, But and like he was actually, keeping up to a degree. Obviously, like, he wasn't doing as much as he was, when he was fucking 20. But it was still such a fucking awesome time. Let's see, what else did I do? I took Sunday and Monday off, which I really fucking needed. But then, that kind of set me back, because, like, dude, I had a show tonight, and if I take more than, like, a day or two off of comedy, I get so rusty immediately. Like, it takes me a set just to get back into the rhythm of things. And, what I did is I did an open mic. I had a show tonight. I did the show. I did an open mic after, and then I did another open mic after that. And, like, I could immediately tell that I should have asked to go at the end of the show and then gone at the beginning of the open mic just to get a set in and then do the show. Because I was like, I did fine at the show. It's it's my act. If it's not a crowd that's really gonna like me, it's half the crowd fucking loves me and half the crowd fucking hates me. That's what happens. Is just I have a bunch of people who are having an amazing time and a bunch of people who are completely fucking horrified at how I can make these jokes. And but I think I could. I mean, I was rolling up top, like I was getting some big pops, and then I chose the wrong bits, and then out of the wrong bits, I did the new stuff, and then I did a bunch of bits that saved me at the end. But I should have just fucking the bits that saved me at the end, not counting my closer. I should have done those after the opening jokes, then got into the new stuff. But I tried to do the new stuff, but I completely forgot where I was going with it because it's new shit and it's not done, and I don't really have the structure down. I wrote it out, which is usually just an exercise of just getting all my thoughts out. Like I did on the podcast a bunch, or I worked it a couple times on the podcast, and I typed it all out. And then what I do from there is I bullet point it and I work it out on stage. And I just like figure it out from there without actually sitting down and typing, but just like thinking and listening back to sets and things like that. But excuse me. I just had some tacos. But what's it called? Yeah, I just fucked up the new shit, and it kind of made for an awkward time because like I did the premise, but I didn't actually get the punchlines in, and I still don't have it down. But the other thing too, like the other bit I'm working on right now. I also have some other bits that I'm like kind of working on, but I've just been putting on the back burner. I'm not doing enough. I need to just hit the fucking mics, but it gets so frustrating because it's just not fun to go to open mics. And then you're like, all right, well, I'm doing a lot of these weekday shows. Let's just work it out on the weekday shows. But then you're like, all right, well, if I'm doing the show, but I'm not doing a mic, then I'm only getting one set in. And then it just doesn't feel like I'm being productive enough to actually feel like I'm making any traction here. And then the bit gets to a point where it's like almost done, where it's like sometimes I'm doing it in sets and it's like doing well enough that it's like, well, clearly this is a good enough bit for a set, but it's not really getting the pops that my old shit's getting, which is exactly when you need to stick to the fucking bits and just keep working them out. But, then you have other new shit you want to do, and then you have like, okay, well, I can't just have a set that's like 7 minutes of newer shit. Okay, maybe 4 is like newer, and then 3 is actually new. But, like, I actually want to have a good set because, I want the booker to think I'm a reliable fucking comedian. So then you just end up fucking having a bunch of bits that are, like, almost fully cooked, but you stopped using them because you're frustrated that they're not really getting to fully cooked as quickly as you'd like. And then, then you end up just doing other shit. Like, the newer shit that ends up staying in my act is always the shorter shit rather than the longer shit. And the longer shit's always the stuff that I'm more passionate about because those are, like, what I think is the better writing. But those take so much longer to work out. And, like, I don't know. You forget that, like, when you started, like, it took me a year to build 8 minutes. And then COVID happened, I came back, and I immediately threw out 6 of those minutes and kept maybe 2. And I kept a bunch of the premises, and those ended up becoming bits that I redid later on that are probably, a lot of them are still in my act, but I can't even remember a lot of the shit I was doing back then, except for the stuff that stayed. So it just gets fucking frustrating, where you're like, this is almost here, but I don't know where to, And you also, like, know when you're, like, like, I'm 5 years in, technically 6 as the crow flies, but, yeah, dude, it's like, I know the better I get as a comic, the more I'm going to flesh out these subjects. Like, I just don't know how to think that deep on a lot of these issues yet. Not issues, necessarily, but on a lot of these subjects yet. Like, it's like I know there's more to mine here, and I have to keep doing it, so when I'm on stage, I'll just start riffing, and something will come out eventually, But in the meantime, it's like, it's just, I know, like, oh, there's something here, like there's a bit, that I got that used to be my closer, but now I have like a different joke in it so I don't use the old part enough, and I have to keep but because the other one's timed out to exactly like 2 minutes, so if I get the light, I'm like, all right, I'm closing this, or it's like a minute and a half, but if I get the but if it's a minute and a half, if I go 30 seconds over, it's not a big deal. If I'm 30 seconds under, I can think of a quick one after that, but yeah, dude, it's like, it just gets frustrating where you're like, you're just like, there's meat on the bone, and I know I have to pick it, but I don't really know how to start, but I don't know, man. What else is going on with me this week? Yeah, I'm getting old. Speaking of getting old, the Tyson fight. Yeah, that was, I didn't watch it, because I couldn't remember my Netflix password to log in on my phone. But I mean, just from what I saw on Twitter, he was fucking coming out firing at the beginning of the fight, and then just like, obviously he's old enough where I think his legs gave out pretty quickly. But he was pulling punches. Like, you can watch the video. He like, at least what I saw, there was open punches he could have gone for, and he could have just fucking leveled them. But it's like, yeah, you made $20 million in a non-sanctioned boxing event. This is not a real fight. This is never going to count against your record. And Jake Paul is making you $20 million. So don't knock him out, and don't actually show that you're Iron Mike Tyson. You can take your little theft of $20 million and go home with that. But if you embarrass this guy, all you're doing is you're going to fuck everybody else over who wants that same opportunity to steal $20 million from Netflix, okay? I should have thought of that going into the fight, that's how that was going to go down. Because it makes no sense for them as an organization, for anybody, for Jake Paul, for Netflix, for Mike Tyson. It makes no sense for anybody to knock the shit out of this guy, and then just like have it be like, whoa, Mike Tyson's still Mike Tyson. Like, no, it's a good thing financially for Jake Paul to keep winning these fights, the so-called fights, because that lets them keep this ridiculous business model of Jake Paul having fake fights versus famous people going. But if they actually start knocking him the fuck out, then they can't do this again. You know, like the whole jig is up. I mean, like, I think it makes complete sense for Tyson to like go a little bit hard so he can prove, hey, I'm still Mike Tyson, and then just to just not get knocked out. But to not actually try hard enough to actually knock Jake Paul out, because I think that's probably a bad fucking thing. Oh, I mentioned getting tacos earlier. Dude, I'm in a situation with this taco place. Because here's the thing. I really like their food. But they have like an insane, I'm talking about El Jefe's. They have an insane wall of hot sauce. I'm a big hot sauce guy. I love spicy food. I like, like fucking Szechuan food and Jamaican food and all that type of shit. Like, I love really hot food. But the problem is, for me, is they used to have El Tapatio, which is like my favorite Mexican hot sauce, and they don't anymore. So now I'm wondering what the ethics of bringing my own hot sauce into a restaurant that has an entire wall of hot sauce is, because I feel like if a white guy walks into a place with an outside hot sauce, black people could accuse me of a cultural appropriation for that. I could get Hillary Clinton for having hot sauce in my bag swag. Okay, I don't know if I need that. I don't know if I need to get or they all think I'm really cool, which is obviously the ultimate thing that a white person wants is for black people to think he's cool. That's what we're all going for. Realistic, do I need another corny white guy to fucking tell me I'm cool? No, he's not cool. Why do I need his approval? Fucking black guy? I start, walking around with a little, pep in my step, a little swagger, That's what I need in my life. I don't know, dude. I fucking, yeah, what else is going on? We're at 33 minutes. All right, I can run the clock out for another 12 and be happy with myself. All right, I don't have segments here. All right. Oh, I should have mentioned. I meant to mention this at the beginning of the podcast. There was a fit of me yelling at one point in the last episode where I yelled at somebody. I can explain that. Okay. Dude, I fucking I don't know if dude, I get like really in like a flow state when I'm doing shit like this. It's really hard to talk to yourself for an hour and not be completely boring. I mean, I think I'm still a little bit boring. There's lulls. It's really hard to do this. And you get into like a flow state. I mean, same things happens when I'm on stage too. When you're really in the zone, you're in the zone. Like, it's a complete flow state where you just like you're not like necessarily like thinking and doing. You're just doing. Like it's and you're like able to analyze things. It's like time slows down and you're able to it's like the same thing as being in the zone in sports, right? When you're playing sports growing up, like when you're actually playing well, like time slows down and like you're able to like judge things as they're happening and see them before they happen and all that sort of stuff. So I'm doing this and I'm completely in the flow state. And I realized that it just sounded like I was yelling like a fucking psycho. Because the mic didn't pick up what happened. But my mother, no offense to her, she was doing a very nice thing. She was making dinner. She asked if I wanted some. However, she did that by screaming in a very high voice at the top of her lungs because she does, her ears suck, so she doesn't realize how loud she's being, and it scared the ever-loving shit out of me. Like I literally fucking jumped in my chair, and my immediate reaction was just to fight or flight kicked in. I chose fight, and I yelled, "Shut the fuck!" I was like, "Can you shut the fuck up?" Which is definitely not a healthy response. Okay, I'm aware of that. I'm trying to work on myself. But I mean, it was literally just fight or flight, and I was just like ready to fucking go. It's like if somebody shattered a window while you're in the middle of something, you would immediately be like, "What the fuck?" Like it was that sort of thing. And I mean, if you listen to what hit me after it, I like had to take a few deep breaths and be like, "That was an overreaction," and it was, but it did scare the ever-loving shit out of me. It was not expecting it, especially when I said like, "Hey, I don't want dinner because I'm gonna be doing this thing. I'm just gonna get food later," and it's not her fault. Okay, I could have been better about it. She was doing a nice thing, but also, you could have texted me instead of screaming at the top of your fucking lungs. I don't know, guys. I did want to address that. All right, I felt bad about it when it happened. I'm a little on edge. Me on edge all the time? Who knew? You haven't seen me drive, guys. I have recorded an episode while driving. The road rage is there. Okay, the road. I am like, I think I have a really hyperactive nervous system. I'm like always on fucking like, I'm on the cusp of pure fight or flight at all times. Like I know I am. It's not. I don't think it's good. I don't think that's right. I don't know what to do about it either. And I think actually I do know what it is. I need to stop consuming nicotine and to drink green tea instead of coffee, because when I do that, I'm fine. But I just walk in like a fucking junkie all the time, just on edge because I want my brain to be going because I got sets to do, baby. Dude, comedians all do the same thing. We drink too much caffeine, we all consume a lot of nicotine, and then we have to numb ourselves from how ramped up we are with alcohol. It's a never-ending cycle that, well, because it's just like, you start getting older, and it's like, it's so much harder to be, like, alert at night, I find, especially when you have a day job. It's, like, really hard to, like, be fully mentally clear and present. Like, I consume a little nicotine throughout the day, but it's after that 3 o'clock coffee and after dinner. That's when it just ramps up, because my brain starts slowly winding down, and it's like, hey, we gotta, we're animals. The second it gets dark, our body is like, okay, time for night-night, and then let's wake up at sunrise. And you're like, no, I need to stay out till midnight doing fucking open mics. So then you just fucking, you have to figure out ways to stay up and stay present and have your brain going. And then, that's why I don't know. That's why I like sleeping in so much, because it's just like, I'd rather just be a night owl than to, like, be healthy and operate on the Earth's natural schedule. Because it's just like so fucking hard to keep up when you're doing that, dude. I can't have like a morning job for anything, because just I'm too concerned with comedy. But I shouldn't drink into the microphone. It did sound like it was slurred. I don't drink like that, and I want to be clear, I don't drink like that. Okay, I hadn't taken a sip out of the fucking thing, and I didn't want to spell it. Let's see, what's going on? What else is going on this week? I got blown off for a date on Sunday. That was my fault, I will say. No, okay. I, like, knew what I did in the moment. I fucking fumbled the bag. Dude, I met this chick, what's it called? Through a mutual, And I mean, really pretty, really nice girl. We hit it off like fucking sparks, and we were like trying to figure out plans. She agreed to a plan. Here's what happened. I was at an open mic Thursday after the show Thursday. She agreed to go out Sunday. I forgot I turned red receipts off on my phone, so she like responded. I didn't get back to her. I posted a story, or like I reposted a picture that some like the open mic had posted of me doing the mic, and then I realized like, oh fuck, I opened this message but didn't respond, and then I posted something, and she's probably like, why the fuck didn't he respond? And I'm thinking she's seeing that I left her on red, so I scrambled to be like, oh my bad, like I opened that, like whatever, like I opened that, but like I forgot to respond, haha. And it immediately was like this. I sent it, and I was like, like, oh, but can you like do like have you heard of this place? And I sent it, and immediately was like, that's gonna come off. So desperate. I totally blew that one. But then you're like in a situation where you're like, all right, so I clearly sent a text that sounds desperate, even though I thought she was gonna think I was being a dick by like leaving her on red, or I was like nervous leaving her on red or something like that. So now I'm in a situation where I'm like, well, I can unsend that message and send a better one, or I can edit that message and send it better. But if I edit it, she's going to see the edit, and then she's going to be like, why are you overthinking this, right? But then if I unsend it, she's going to be like, did he send me a dick pic or something? Like, why would he unsend a message? That seems even more suspicious. So then you just got to lean in and pretend nothing happened. And then, agreed to the date and then immediately ghosted. So, it is what it is. I'm actually in a little, I was looking forward to that. But I'm also a little bit happy, if we're being quite honest, because I was so fucking burnt out from that drive to New York on Friday, and like all the shit I did Saturday, that like by the time came around where we would have gone out to dinner, I was so fucking done. Like I was so cooked and ready to go to bed that I was like, ugh. Dude, I get it, because the best thing in the world is canceling plans. That's the funny thing when you get like blown off. At a certain point, you're like, look, I've got, I've met other people. I've got options that I can text. I wanted to give you a good chance because I thought you were a good option, but, whatever. But you're also like, oh, at least I don't have to go to that place and spend money, I got to pay for a full dinner and your drinks, and, I'm not drinking right now, but normally my drinks. I got to do this whole thing. I got to get dressed up. I got to clean my car. I got to do all this shit. I would hypothetically like to have somebody, in my life, and, hopefully leaning towards, hopefully it, would go well enough that eventually it could turn into something. But I could also just not put in effort and just be a piece of shit all the time. And that's really nice too. That's, as a man, kind of better than, pulling chicks. To just like, be a degenerate and not, have to clean your car and get dressed and spend money on somebody who it might not work out with anyways. I think we should go splits on the first date. That's just me. It is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. We are at 43 minutes. We're here, guys. We're fucking making it, okay? Do I have anything else I want to talk about? Oh shit, I forgot to text Jackie. Sorry, this is my client. To tell you, it's mooses and ammo. Alright, we're good. Sorry, I left keys for my boss in one of my client's mailboxes, and then she texted me being like, what the fuck is this shit? That was my bad. I should have texted her when that happened, but I've been fucking busy. Who's this fella? Dude, random fucking people will follow you as a comedian. You're like, why the fuck? We're telling jokes together on whatever. When am I going? Fuck. Alright, I'm gonna be in Cape Cod tomorrow. I really wish I said no to that gig. it doesn't pay well enough for me to drive 2 hours and back on a Wednesday anymore. Okay, it did at one point, but it's not even a good show. And the guy bitched at me for not having headshots, as if I'm gonna spend $200 or $300 on a fucking photo shoot for myself for pictures that nobody gives a shit about. All right, I feel like as an audience member, people would rather you just have like fucking pictures on stage than a fucking professional headshot. All right, you look fucking corny with a professional headshot. Okay, maybe it makes it easier for the showrunner to fucking make a poster. I don't know. Nobody gives a shit about your fucking poster, okay? Just crop the picture of me on stage and put that up. I don't give a shit. He bitched at me for that, and it was just like, dude, fucking get over yourself, alright? You're running a fucking bar show on a Wednesday in Cape Cod. That sucks. He runs other good shows, and I actually like him as a person, but why am I being a cunt? I don't know. Is it because you don't want to do it? Is it because you have a busy fucking week and tomorrow's gonna suck? You know, because you get home late and you do the fucking hike days on fucking Wednesdays, and then you're gonna get home and you're gonna either you get home, immediately shower, change, and get back on the fucking road for 2 hours after sitting in an hour of traffic getting back home from work, and then it's gonna end up being a fucking 6 hours in the car tomorrow. That's what's gonna be, or you're angry, because you know, you're doing all that for what's probably going to amount to like fucking $30 in a bad set because the room sucks. You know, and you're like, why did I agree to this? Is it because I feel slightly disrespected that he won't put me on his better shows, but he offers me this one as if he's doing me a fucking favor? Probably. But you know, I also want to burn the booker. So, yeah, I don't know. So, maybe I shouldn't mention what show I'm on. And every fucking comedian who's listening knows. I'm on Red Nun tomorrow in West Dennis, Cape Cod. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I've had really good sets there, but it's just like, it's not even fucking worth, you know, it's like, I'm not even like doing an actual fucking feature spot. I'm like one of the lowest billed comics, which is like, I don't know, my ego's fine with that, but like, it's just like, if it was in Boston, I wouldn't give a shit, but I have to drive all the way to the Cape to get a spot that, like, I'm kind of above, but also, like, I'm not the best comic for the room, but he has better shows where it would actually be, like, a room with an audience that would be better for me, and, like, I should just be like, hey, I'll do your weekend shows and your Thursday show, but I'm not doing this one anymore. You know, that's what it is. I'm mad at myself for not fucking setting boundaries and just taking everything that somebody offers me because I don't want to be a problem. Okay, that's what I'm mad about. That's completely what I'm mad about, is that I don't ask follow-up questions and you know, fucking be assertive with myself sometimes because I just let bookers walk all over me. Because, you know, if you don't, then people think you're difficult to work with just for fucking being like, hey, this isn't worth it for me. So yeah, I gotta do that. And now, fucking guy is hitting me up so I can give him a ride to our show on Friday together. Which I don't want to fucking drive a guy to a fucking show. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but you know, when I'm in the car on the way to a road gig, I want to listen to 3 hours of the Grateful Dead and, you know, enjoy myself, and I don't want to have to make conversation with somebody who I might not get along with. And I could get along with them. You know, we could be fast pals, and I could be like, hey, I was complaining about this last week at the end of the podcast, and then now I have a new best friend. But I could also not. And, you know, it's always a gamble. All right, that's when you ride with somebody from a gig, you're either bonding for life or you're just going to spend a few hours in the car being like, why the fuck do I do this to myself? Why couldn't I just have a healthy enough adolescence to just be fine with a real job? You know, why couldn't I just have like a decent life? And by decent life, I mean clinical depression. You know, why couldn't I have done that? But it is what it is. You know, a job I hate and I complain to everybody about. Sorry, I had to respond to my client again. Yeah, let's see. Where else am I at this week? So for that one, I'm in Abington, Massachusetts. Where is that? Abington, Mass. That one's going to be at 10th District Brewing, 7:30. If anybody's over by Abington, you know, swing by. Saturday, I'm going to be in Dayville, Connecticut at Black Palm Brews at 8 o'clock. And then Monday I'm going to be on That's So Jewish at Laugh Boston. That's going to be a game show. Let's hope they don't figure out that I'm not Jewish because my mom is Irish, and I have no idea how to speak Hebrew or Yiddish. So I'm going to have to do a Jewish game show where they ask Jewish trivia questions and have little games. And I'm going to be like, hey, dude, and I'm going to, show up there after eating a hot dog or something, being like, I don't keep kosher. And then I'm going to be at Bleacher Bar over by Fenway after that, closing that one out. And then I don't have any shows until the next Friday, so I'm going to get some open mics in, try to live a social life, be a person. But yeah, this has been, we're at 50 minutes, so I can get the fuck out of here. And by get the fuck out of here, I mean stay in my house. And go to bed because it's fucking, what time is it? It's exactly midnight on the dot. And I should go to bed, because, I got shit to do tomorrow. But I also haven't taken that much time to myself today. So I'm gonna, probably stay up too late and then regret it. Because I'm gonna be like, well, I wanted to read today, but I didn't do that. Oh, speaking of reading, that was the one other topic, dude. It's the one other thing I wrote down. Maybe I could hold it for next week. Fuck it, I'll just do it. I don't know. Dude, I've been trying to, so I I try to read a lot, but obviously with comedy it gets really difficult, and then it becomes okay, I work all day, I do comedy, and I sit down and listen to my sets, and I don't really write anymore, but I jot down notes and things like that, and I'm trying to whatever, and then it's you work all day and then you work all night, and then you get home and you're like, all right, well, I have all these fucking books I bought, and if you're like, Josh, why are you buying books and wasting paper, when you could get a Kindle or something like that, or you can go to a library. It's well, I don't read fast enough to go to a library, okay? You gotta fucking recheck them out in a couple days, and that's a whole fucking thing, and I'm just not, I don't have time to just keep going back and forth to places to put things in and put things in. It's a whole fucking thing. Okay, I'm gonna buy the book, and I'm gonna leave them sitting around my house in weird places, so it makes me look smarter, and I don't know. I've been trying to I've always I love history, but the problem is I want to read more about these things, but you get to a point where you're like, all right, well, no historian really knows 100% anything, right? So if you want to learn about a subject, right, you need to buy 7 books on it, so you can get all these different. You need to get the contemporary perspective. You need to get the couple years, 100 years later perspective. Then you got to get the perspectives of modern historians. But then you're like, all right, well, this modern historian is referencing this one, so I got to read it. And you're like, I'm not reading fucking 9 books on this subject just to not actually know the truth. I'd rather just listen to a podcast and pretend I know things than to go through all this effort when I don't have the time, because that would take me over a fucking year to read all this shit with how fucking busy my schedule is. So then I just end up, buying a bunch of shit that I don't read because I start, and then I'm going to be like, I don't have, because it's not just knowing that thing. You're like, all right, I want to buy a book on, I don't know, the Sea Peoples and the end of the Bronze Age. But then you're like, well, okay, well, now I need to get this, but now I need to get, now I need more perspective on all the empires that they're taking down. Okay, so it's the fall of the Bronze Age. Well, I need to know more about what do we know about the Bronze Age before that. And then, all right, well, now I need to read the Iliad and the Odyssey and the Epic of Gilgamesh and all these other things that, trace, at least, colloquially from the people of the times, the actual stories of what was going on in that time. And then you're like, well, okay, but then I also need to get more contemporary perspectives to understand, annotated versions of I need to get that book unannotated. Then I need to get an annotated version so I can parse through what the fuck I was reading and figure out what they're trying to allude to and what the symbolism of all this fucking whatever is. And then you're just like, what am I doing this for? It's just, it's because I enjoy it, but then I just get frustrated that I can't know everything. So then I'm like, I guess I would just rather know nothing than to go through the work of knowing more, because then I'll just be frustrated that I can't know everything. Does that make any fucking sense to you people? I don't know. So then I just stick to the same subjects I keep reading about, the Beats and the hippies and all that type of shit, and then their antecedents and predecessors, because that interests me, where it's oh, these are people like me, and then it's okay, well, they actually fall into a lineage. I bought this book of Ken Kesey's where it's called Ken Kesey's Garage Sale. It's been out of print since '73, but I got a copy of it. And there's an introduction by Arthur Miller, who wrote like The Crucible and stuff, and it's tracing the radical movement of the 1960s and comparing it to the radical movement in the 1930s, and the causes and of both the rise of those movements and then the pitfalls of those movements, and how it was the same thing with the people in the 30s as the 40s went on, with the people in the 60s as the 70s went on. Is basically like, when the 30s radicals who were trying to become communist and socialist and things like that, when the economy started recovering in World War II and at the end of the Spanish-American War in 36 and 37, or Spanish Civil War in 36 and 37, where, essentially when Nixon won, it's comparable to when the Spanish Civil War was won by the fascists, and the rise of Hitler and all those things, where, this sense of, like, good is going to prevail over evil, and that we're going to be able to build a new world where everybody's equal. When you realize, like, oh, we're maybe less than 10% of the population who believe all this stuff, and we're operating as if, like, everybody agrees with it. You could compare it to what's happening today, with, like, the so-called woke movement, where it's like, I think the Democrats lost a lot of voters because they insisted that everybody already agreed with them, and that the people who disagreed with them were all, like, racist and sexist and things like that, where it just becomes either you're in our echo chamber or you're out of our echo chamber. So then when they realize, like, oh, more than 50% of the population, like, either actively disagrees with you or it doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about, so then they're voting against you out of spite because they're like, well, why are you talking down to me? I have no idea what you're upset about. When something like that happens, it completely crushes the morale, and it's also like, well, the Great Depression ended, and, these people who were, like, starving in breadlines going, like, we need to build a better future, immediately got offered all these, like, really good jobs, and then they just kind of, like, they might have kept their ideals, but then they became part of what they were rebelling against. And that's the same thing in the 60s, right, where it gets really hard to be a fucking starving hippie living on the streets and crashing in fucking houses with 20 people for a long enough time, where you're like, I need to fucking get my shit together, I need to get a real job, and I need to, like, support myself. And then you do that, and then, you effectively left the movement at that point. And, I think that is somewhat comparable to what's going on now. I find that really interesting. I don't know. But yeah, dude, I gotta call an end to this. If you're anywhere, I'm gonna be in the next week or so. Definitely come to a show. I'll be around. I'll be burnt out, too tired to fucking do this shit, but I'll still be doing it anyways. I think I'm gonna I'm not taking work off Friday. I think I have work off Friday. And unlike last Friday, I'm not gonna drive to New York and back in one day, so I'm actually gonna give myself a fucking rest, which will be good. Sorry, I'm fucking, like, out of breath right now for some reason. I'm talking so quickly that I'm not actually getting breath in, but I'm also, like, talking into the mic because my fucking nose is stuffed up and I want to blow my nose. But I'm also talking directly into the microphone, so if I try to breathe in too loud, it's gonna fucking whatever. I don't know. This is the end of the episode. We're at 58 minutes and 20 seconds, so I think we've done a pretty good job. Listen, thanks for listening. I'll be back next week. If you have any listener questions, you can email them to I need to set up a separate email for this. I don't think anybody's actually going to send some emails, but if you want me to talk about something, DM me or something. I don't give a shit. I don't know. I need some other topic. I need shit to talk about. So if anybody's got shit going on in their life that they want me to give my input on or something like that, feel free to do that. Otherwise, everybody have a good week, and check back next week. Peace.